Okay, good
Start
afternoon,
again.
everyone, and welcome to this Interfaith Forum. My name is Angeline Lessler, and I represent Pemia from the Church of St. Thomas More, Subang Jaya. Now, just to clarify with some of you who are not familiar with what Pemia is about, it is an ministry in the church, and this is in relation to ecumenism and interreligious affairs.
Good afternoon to all of you, and I'm very happy that we have this first online for our parish at SFX, and we have this COVID-19, a faith perspective. And it stays here, a dialogue by harmony works facilitation. That we're all in harmony, that's why we are able to have this online in the time of CMCO. So we thank the Sikh, Muslim, Buddhist, and Christian for coming here today on this online. Dr. Ui Henbing from the Buddhist, Haji Dakor, the Sikh religion, Ustaz Dr. Said Hussein Abdin, and Jason Ho from our Catholic Church. So I'd like to say just a few words of about this dialogue that we are happy to have this today. Pope Francis recently met with the participants from the Plenary Assembly of the Pontifical Council for Interreligious Dialogue, who are exploring the theme, members of different religious tradition in civil society. So speaking to the participants of the Plenary Assembly of the Pontifical Council for Interreligious Dialogue, Pope Francis underlined the importance of friendship and respect between men and women of different religious traditions. So quoting from his recently published apostolic exhortation, Evangelii Gaudium, the Pope said, an attitude of openness in truth and love must prevail in dialogue with believers like all of us. So recognizing the fact that there are situations in the world where coexistence is difficult due to fear, the Holy Father, Pope Francis, underlined that the one way to overcome this fear was to foster dialogue. So constructive dialogue between people of different religious traditions, Pope Francis continued, also serves to overcome another fear, which unfortunately we find on the increase in a more heavily secularized society. It is said the fear of different religious traditions, and as such, the religious dimension. In his concluding comments, the Holy Father, Pope Francis, said the future for interreligious dialogue lies in the coexistence of respectful diversity and the fundamental right to religious freedom in all its dimensions. Thank you.
Parish priest is Father Norris. So now I invite Father Norris to say a few words.
Thank you very much, Eddie. Good afternoon, everyone. Once again, I would just like to express a huge word of welcome to each and every one of you. A special word of thanks to the presenters who have taken the time to share with us on today's particular topic. I am confident that it will benefit all of us. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. I am Patricia Nonis, and I'm the dialogue facilitator for today. This is what we are about today. It is an interfaith perspective from the Buddhist, Catholic, Muslim, and Sikh communities. in response to the COVID-19 restrictions on gathering, worship, and community needs. And I'd like to share a little bit about how we see dialogue in this context. Yeah, as mentioned by Pope Francis, dialogue can bring people together, but we need to understand that it is a kind of dialogue where there is a space for civility and equality, and in which those who differ may listen and speak together. It is a way of being mindful and creative, relating. In dialogue, we seek to set aside fears, preconceptions, the need to win. We need to take time to hear other voices and possibilities. And as with all things human, dialogue will encompass some paradoxes, and in so doing, new ideas and collective wisdom may arise. So we enter into dialogue in this spirit of listening, and you will find that the way we have structured today is that we will listen to each other and listen to how the different communities cope. There will be time to ask questions and make comments and learn from each other. So that is what we are about. So who are our speakers? They are these four very generous people who give of their time to their community. So Dr. Ooi Hian Beng, would you like to lift your hand up, Dr. Ooi? People can see you, yeah? He is a retired science and education lecturer from the Ipoh campus of the Institute of Teacher Education, currently retired, but still chairman, Buddhist Missionary Society, Perak branch. And below him on the left is Hajinder Kaur, also retired from the oil and gas industry, currently in the Exco of the Gurdwara Sahib Subang, section SS13, and recently very much involved, and still I think very much involved, in the Langar food distribution section of the Gurdwara, where spontaneously they responded to the need and began to distribute free vegetarian food to, beginning from a small number to now I think more than 100 recipients. Yeah, she's also a member of SWAN, the Sikh Women Awareness Network, and the Sikh Welfare Society. So on my right on the slide is Ustaz Dr. Syed Hussein Abdin, currently the senior trainer and lecturer and public speaker on Islamic studies and interreligious, interfaith and world religious studies, head of the training and education in the Islamic Outreach Abin Center at Masjid Negara. And finally, Jason Ho, who currently heads the PMIA, Parish Ministry of Ecumenical and Interreligious Affairs in CDM Church Shah Alam, member of the Archdiocesan Ministry of Ecumenical and Interreligious Affairs, member of MCC, MPCC, HPSC, and co-founder of FinTech, a startup. Yeah. So these are four Malaysians, community leaders, and they will be sharing with us from their view as Malaysians of different faiths living through COVID. Recall the first movement control order and the closing of the places of worship. What was the impact on your community, and what was done by your faith leaders to assist the community during the MCO at all the different stages? So if I can ask Hajinder if she's ready to speak.
Hi, good afternoon, everyone, and to all fellow speakers and participants, and of course to all my Sikhs friends and fellow Sikhs, I would like to wish you Waheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Waheguru Ji Ki Fateh, which means the pure belongs to God and victory belongs to God. Okay, talking about COVID-19, as the movement order came about, when the announcement came about in March 18, which we felt that to a certain degree, it actually did create some anxiety and some confusion. And of course, being part of the ESCO team itself, I play some role in the Langar too. And so we came up with some ideas itself. Okay, now actually the ideas came out from the youth, I would say that. It was picked up by the ESCO itself. And we know we wanted some, even the clarity from the authorities was also not very clear. So as we move along, the ESCO of Subang Gurdwara, they were actually very concerned of over many issues that may arise. The daily Sikh prayers, like you call the sermon, like how you phrase as the sermons, by the in-house priest of ours, they could not have his congregation. So of course, and thereafter now we have gone online. Okay, and now, like I said, the idea about these free meals, I'm going to talk about the perspective of how we went about, let's say, challenging COVID-19 itself. Okay, ideas were mooted by youth, like we picked it up. Now, what the youth did is that they prepared flyers or small EDMs, where we listed the names of our ESCO members, and we put it some do's and don'ts itself, which were quickly circulated, and we blasted it out to all channels. We were very lucky because some media picked it up, and then it's like, wow, it was everywhere. So ladies and gentlemen, the core purpose was to give our most vulnerable recipients the protection they needed from COVID-19 by not going out for their food and supplies. In line with our Sikh teachings also, Sri Guru Nanak's open kitchen concept was quickly carried out. A cook and a few in-house volunteers gathered together and began to prepare pet-free vegetarian meals. So we started receiving calls and WhatsApp messages. It started pouring in. We had to ask a few questions to scan to see whether they are eligible for the meals or not first. And then we put them into the list of recipients itself. The calls, so many that in fact, even some of us received calls even at 10 p.m. at night. They were, they were desperate calls. Now, this list, which I'm talking about, actually comprised of recovering patients or people. We thought we will cover Subang Jaya only, but apparently the call, it seems the message hit across the border. It went as far as Ampang, Seri Kembangan. So we kind of took it by surprise too. So we want to actually just focus on Subang Jaya, but we could not. So the list, like I said, it was recurring patients, handicapped patients, cancer patients, heart ailing patients, elderly parents who are stuck at home and whose kids are at other areas. So don't forget, our borders were getting closed, right? And some were far away from homes. Or those who their daily earnings came to an abrupt. I mean, individuals like maids, construction workers. So generally, they couldn't go to work themselves. So there were even messages, you'd be surprised, even from abroad. Say, hey, could you send food to my parents? And I think they are at home. So we picked up this challenge and we went about. So our Sevadars are called volunteers in the Sikh language itself. They prepared and they packed free vegetarian meals itself. So what the Gurdwara did is that we promised these recipients that we'll give them lunch and dinner, but we only send once because of the constraint that we had, right? So from 10 meals, it went to 20 meals, and it went to 30 meals, then it rose to 100 meals a day. So from the beginning itself, our actually youth itself, they were personally going from door to door to deliver these meals. But as you know, as we all know, the condition became more stringent itself. So crossing from one area to another area, even from Subang to Sunway, became very difficult itself because the roadblocks were having long queues. And then to us, delivering hot meals on time was very important to us. So what we did is that, like we said, our message went across and people started, and donators started calling in, very generous people. So we switched on over to sponsored services, that's Lala Moon Malaysia, to distribute our meals for us. So it was indeed actually sad that when the request came in as far as Ampang, mentioned Ampang, Seri Kembangan, and I'm saying it's from all races because we opened this meal to all races and joining even Putrajaya side too. But like I said, we couldn't entertain some of them. So then what we did is that we actually, now as the Gurdwaras found out that Subang Gurdwara was embarking on this, similarly, they also picked up on this seva. This, what we call it a seva. Seva is actually a self-service. So it went on like a domino effect itself too. And it was so wonderful to see how it moved. And it became a success, I would say that. Now the Sikhs Now, whatever you're doing here, the Sikhs call it service to mankind, selfless. It's the word Sewa, S-E-W-A. And it went on being received amazingly from all races. We got calls from all races itself. Yes, we actually did observe all the SOPs we did. I mean, as you can see from the pictures behind, I think, Pat, you had the pictures. So from the pictures itself, you can see that we actually follow all the things. As we move along, when the pre-meals were getting synced, there were also desperate calls coming in. So then the ESCO decided, hey, why don't you let them cook at home? So we started giving free rations, which are packed and sent to all, the main ingredients itself. Has reported in the public domain, I think many organizations and even individuals went forward to do their own kind of distribution itself. Actually, I really would like to thank all the donators and who actually have donated to us. I can't name them here, so a long list. I want to give 4 minutes to talk. Some of the blessed team members who actively participate from their homes, our President, of course, Sardar Amrit Singh, our Deputy and main person for the Gurdwara operations is Mr. Amanjit Singh, and our Panji Darshan, of course, we'll call her young lady because she's the one who actually gives media alerts to everyone. And Panji Pajan, who's actually currently take over the Lankur now. And of course, youth like Arvind Singh, the one on the image itself, and Mr. Harjit Singh, and many others. Yes, there were shortcomings. We really apologize. And I think I can see your messages. I'd like to end my sharing here. Like we say, it's always an honor to do selfless service, seva. By doing so, it's in our teachings itself. Waheguruji, or the Lord above, blessing will pour more in abundance. So, Waheguruji Ka Khalsa, Waheguruji Ki Fateh, Selamat Sejahtera. Have a wonderful day, everyone. Thank you.
Thank you, Jin, for sharing. I'm sorry I had to call time, but you will have two other occasions to share. So this is to make sure that we hear from everyone within the first half hour. So can I ask Jason to pick up and share what was the response from the Catholic side?
Certainly. Thank you, Patricia. And nice to see so many people online as well. And thanks for having me on this dialogue, which is very important, I think, to share what goes on in each of the community. I am from the Church of Divine Mercy, where the parish is in Shah Alam. And as a Catholic, going to Mass on a Sunday is a very sacred act. It is a personal encounter with God. It is also an encounter with God together with the Catholic community. So involves listening to the Word of God from scriptures. It involves listening to the homily from the priest, and most importantly, receiving the body and blood of Christ through the Eucharist. So all of a sudden, when MCO takes place, we were asked that we can't attend Mass anymore. And that obviously came as a big shock to us, because I think a lot of us are still unaware how contagious COVID-19 is and how potent it can be once you get it. And until it sinks in, we were basically grumbling, not able to go to church, to attend Mass. So that was a big change for a lot of us in the community. But thankfully, the church has for a long time set up, the internet infrastructure where we have been streaming Mass every weekend. At that time was purely for the old and the sick who can't come to church. At least they could watch the Mass from home. But now that the MCO kicks in, suddenly all of us also had to jump on the bandwagon to look at, to witness the Mass via the television or from our desktop. So it was a big change for all of us. So yeah, grumble, but have to live with it. Yeah. What happened also is a lot of the things that we normally do, face to face. We had to move it to the internet. Yeah, virtual meetings like these, Zoom, Google Meet and so forth. So anything to do with prayers, devotions, formations, yeah, we had to move it to the internet. Yeah, having virtual meets like that. I think the big change is also in the area of outreach. Now, in the Catholic Church, we have a ministry called the PIHDM, Parish Integral Human Development Ministry. They go out and look after the poor, the sick, the migrants, and so forth. They make sure that there are provisions being sent to them, whoever asking for aid, whether it's monetary or whether it is a bag of rice, milk for the children. You know, we do that. Yeah. So with a restriction that limits to, you know, traveling within a 10-kilometer radius, and Shah Alam being such a wide area, there are things that we couldn't do. Yeah, we couldn't just drive out, you know, buy things and travel all the way to, let's say, you know, Meru, there where the family asking for help. So we had to, you know, improvise and work with other ministries. And obviously the most spread out ministry is the basic ecclesial community. We call it short in BECs. BECs are Catholic families who live in the same residential area. They form a BEC. They come together for fellowship, for prayers, and things like that. So the PIHDM have to, you know, reach out to the BEC. Let's say there's a family in Meru asking for help, so they can't travel. So you have to call the nearest BEC. Let's say in Setia Alam, and say, hey, I've got a family out there who needs help. Can you, you know, help us get a list of for them, you know, and reach out for them. So it's really about, you know, collaboration. In a level that we've never done before, you know, and that's what we did to yeah, in some ways farm out the responsibility to make sure we can reach out to the people who are asking for aid, and then also take to the next level, because we may have families who are in Shah Alam. They may have a very elderly parents staying, let's say, in Kajang, you know, for example, very far off, and they need help. So what happens is our PIHDM will work with the PIHDM in Kajang, the Visitation Church over there, and say, okay, can you reach out to that family, and vice versa. Yeah. So in many ways, we have set up a very wide and big network of knowing where to go when someone needs help, and wherever it is, you know, the BECs are all over the place. So that really helps us in many ways to do this coordination. What I'm really encouraged is in the last couple of months, we even have collaboration between a non-Catholic church with us also. They have a family in one of the suburbs over here, and they say they need help and they can't reach them, and they donated some money to us so that we could use that money to buy food for them. So I think what I'm really happy to see that despite the COVID-19 situation, where we are in a lockdown, where it looks gloom and doom, a lot of good things are happening. And I think reaching out to the poor, whoever needs help, whoever needs to have a call to, you know, to somebody to talk to, all these things are really happening. And I really hope to see more of this going forward, obviously. Because we need each other. Yeah, we certainly need each other, and the world is getting smaller. Yeah. So that's yeah, my little 4 minutes. There's still a lot of things going on that yeah, I won't be able to cover.
Yeah, there's a second segment. Yeah.
Yeah, there's a second segment. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Thank you.
So thank you, Jason and Jean, and we'd like to hear any responses from Dr. Said and Dr. Uy, if you have anything to share from what you've heard, you know, if you have a response or a question at this point.
Yeah, may I start, please?
Sure, go ahead, Dr. Uy.
All right, good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for sharing. Yeah, I noticed that between the Sikh community and also the Christian community, there are a few similarities in the way they work. One of the things that I noticed very clearly was in this time of crisis, there is a need for collaboration, a need for networking to be more effective. That's the point that I can see from both groups. And I also see that during this crisis, a lot of good qualities, I mean, good human qualities really shine out. And you can see how much they reach out to other people, help, regardless of race and religion, which is a very wonderful thing. And of course, the third thing that I noticed among the two groups is that we need to embrace technology and our spiritual practice, and both groups have done it tremendously well. And I'd like to congratulate both of them. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Uy. And Dr. Saib, some words from you?
Good afternoon, and thank you very much. I'm really honored to hear from both community, from my friend Jason and also Arjinda. Thank you very much for your sharing. It was it's like what Dr. Oi Hin says, is there are similarities a lot. I also very honored to hear that it is, even though it's we call pandemic, right? But there is good things that we can develop, right? Around what we can say that a good human, attitude and behavior. But I have a small, what we call that, small, very a simple question that while that you are carry on your, what I can say that the humanitarian work, the wonderful act towards to, helping the others in your community, did you face any negative, what do you call that, response from your community that some doesn't, respond properly and take it as a negative way, did you get my question? That is there any negative response that you receive from the same community that while you are carrying on this humanitarian work? With that, thank you very much. Right, I wish we carry on this type of good work, regardless of community, regardless of religion and race. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, if I can get you, the question is, while you were doing good work, did you get any negative responses from the people within your own community who were perhaps not happy with you doing outreach? Is that your question, Dr. Saib?
Yes, exactly.
Yeah. Would any, Jean or Jason, would you like to respond to that?
Sure, I'll probably respond. We don't have any nasty negative response as in why are you helping certain people. But we do have situations where we come to a community and say, hey, we have this poor family. Could you gather some resources to help out? And I think when you have a pandemic situation where people are losing their jobs, we tend to start looking inward first. Yeah. So I worry for my family, for example, before I can even think about helping somebody else, and buying food for the other, what about myself? So we have situations like these, where when a person's job is on the line and you're not sure, or maybe even you already been relief of your work, the job, can't have one income, you can't help. So we have some of these responses and say, I can't help, and we have to look elsewhere. But no large situation where asking why are you helping certain people, for example. I think we have come by far quite accustomed to helping people, not just within the Catholic family, but also non-Catholics as well. So that's quite usual, for us.
Okay, thank you, Jason. Good on.
But we were happy that our donations were also from non-Sikhs. That was really what shall I say? It was really encouraging, and we were surprised too in a way. Yeah. So that's what it.
Okay. All right.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Yeah.
Yeah.
If you allow me to give another 30 seconds,
yes,
I can ask another question. That was the humanitarian side, right?
Yep.
They may think that they wanted to save for their future or for their family, all these things. How about the religious way? That they say that why God has given this, they disappoint, and why this situation must come while we are, love the God, and we do whatever the requirement coming by from the church or from the religious community, why it should happen. So have you ever received this type of disappointment situation from any of your community? Any of your individuals?
We do have
big question, yeah.
We do have a lot of questions like that, in not just during the pandemic, way before pandemic. I mean, it's a simple question: is why do suffering happens despite the fact that we have a God, a God of goodwill, and yet we have suffering. And so it's something that we know that's part of our sacrifice. That's part of knowing what good is. When there's bad things happen, we know what is good. And also it's a testament to what Jesus Christ did long time ago, helping out the poor, and that's become our mission. So to answer your questions very shortly, yes, it's a common question. Whenever there is a big disaster that happens, questions like this will bound to happen, and we have to reflect on what has happened in the past and look at it as a lesson for ourselves. I mean, even in the scripture, we have the book of Job. Job is a very pious Jew, who is very obedient to God, who follows all his commandments, and yet he also faced a lot of problems, and we have to persevere because we know that God will eventually bless us in the end. So I think that's the comfort that we need to know and know that he will provide.
That's coming through WhatsApp. Perhaps I could just read it. It's from Miss Alice Tan, SFX Premier. Hajinda, it is commendable that you and your team reached out to others during the early days of MCO in spite of having to adjust to new and unfamiliar protocols in daily life like everyone else. Reaching out to all regardless of ethnicity and creed is really a Malaysian thing to do and good modeling for others. Thank you. Okay, so that is, I think, a good summary for us for this section. Same question.
Good afternoon. Thank you, Patricia. Thank you for inviting me for this very meaningful webinar. When the MCO was introduced, definitely all of us were affected. But to the Buddhist community, of course, we say that this is part of life because as the Buddha has mentioned, as long as there is birth, there will be old age, sickness, and death. So our concerns when the MCO started was, the first was the Sangha members, that means the monks, because many of these monks depend on the public to provide them with food and the necessities, especially for the Theravada monks. So with the lockdown, are we still able, the devotees still able to go to the temples and meditation center to provide them with their daily needs? That was our first concern. Of course, the second concern was, all right, now that we have this lockdown, what will happen to our daily activities and weekly activities like Dharma talks, Sunday schools, and activities from the ladies section, the youth section, and things like that. And the third question or third concern we have is, how do we help our own members and also the community who were badly affected by this COVID-19? Let's look at the first concern. In the first concern, we were lucky that there were many devotees who were still able to provide for the daily needs of the Sangha. So they cook for them or they take food for them. So that was not a big problem in the end. Our second concern was about our activities. Generally, the Buddhists are not made compulsory. It's not necessary for them to go to temples every week, but many devotees do go to the temples for offerings, chanting, meditation, and listening to the Dharma talks, which is the teachings of the Buddha, throughout the week. So because of this lockdown, then what we had to do is that we had to go online, like what the Sikh community and the Christian community has done. So we went online. Even our Vesak celebration was online. The third concern was how to help the community, to help our members. And this is where our religious advisor, Bante Mahinda, suggested that we form a regular chanting group where we chanted the Ratana Sutta or the Jewel Discourse. And we also had what is known as the group metta meditation, where we radiate loving kindness, good thoughts to everybody. Of course, we start with ourselves and then radiate loving kindness to all, especially to the frontliners and also to the people who are sick. And we also have a very new helping, which was led by Brother Lim. We call it the Metta Pantry, where instead of distributing food to the members of the public who need them, we actually station some food at certain locations, and the people will just come and take whatever is necessary for them. And although the question started, when we started this, the question was, would people just take more than they need? That was our first question. But in the end, we found that the response from the public was very positive and very encouraging. So these were the few things that we did. And as I understand, the Metta Pantry is still ongoing, where people will just come and take. And our policy is to give without judging. So they just come to the shops where there were trays and things like that, and where the people will just come and take the food they need. So we provide them with biscuits, bread, rice, and things like that. So thank you very much for giving me the time to share the 4 minutes.
Thank you, Dr. Uy. You're very kind to me. You put a timer on yourself. Dr. Syed Hussein.
In the name of God, most merciful, most compassionate, and a peace and blessing be upon the final messenger, Muhammad. Thank you very much for giving me this great opportunity, and thank you very much for the organizers, right? Let us have this type of, forum and this type of meeting, quite often, right? And thank you very much for the special people, those who are the speakers, facilitators, and all those, participate today. I can see around 51, right, for your time and things. Let me be very brief and very fast, speak a bit, faster. Otherwise, Patrick may stop me, right? As normal, the world was, affected, disrupted of their lifetimes because of the COVID. Not only that, those days and until today, only on March and April, until today. So Muslims also, not only in Malaysia, all over the world, affected. Even though it was a very shock for Muslim community, even though they know that the pandemic is not a new things in the Islamic history, it was, there are various situations they can read and they can understand and they know well, right? Even though they were shocked again, however, the Islamic culture and the spiritual and the theological dimensions offer the Muslims, very good way coping with the situation. What I can say, the following was very fast. It was the challenges in the Muslim society. Like what we say, the SMS. You know what is SMS? S belong to the social distancing, and another S belong to hand sanitizing, and as well as the other one is belong to mask. M is mask, and the social distancing was a very big issue. Suddenly, a shock for the Muslim community, where Islam teach, people, shaking hands, visiting people, on Fridays, and when people sick to visit. All these things was really a shock for people. They were very difficult to manage with it. And as well as on the praying in the masjid, closing the masjid was another issue. I think in Malaysian history, the first time masjid were the masajid, I mean the mosques were closed, right? So even though Muslims knows that the prayers can make any places, even in their houses, right? But it was very short, right? Within that short situation, Islamic Audus Abim Center and many Islamic NGOs and mosque community, we took a few immediate actions, right? As we have mentioned in the slide, so those who joined the meeting from 1:45, they could see, right, as what the other respective community has taken. We have done various what we call that social works, like humanitarian work, help them on the spot, arranging some humanitarian work, as well as using the social medias, including the the communications channels like TV. You can see in Malaysia, TV and radios. We try to educate them. This is not an issue, that you can do your work, you can do your prayers, you can do your act of worship at home, and as well as also the classes, Islamic classes. It was almost people are feeling that they cannot learn anymore. The classes are stopped, beside these rituals, and we started whatever way that we can use, like Zooms and as well as other platform to teach them. And also that we have some special classes like marriage courses and counseling classes. All these things also we slowly started and try to use these mediums. And I think today what I can see in Muslim community is like, unless they are the community, right, you can see Muslims community, they try to cope up and they feel that they are now living in this world. Earlier they were felt that's not living in the world. What happened, why this happened, this way. What I can say, thanks to God and thanks to people, thanks to the government and as well as those who are involved such activity, right? With that, I think I also would like to mention another point. And now the issue is the issue of what we call that the pilgrimage, right? This is one part of Islamic, ritual, strong ritual. In your life, at least once you have to go to Makkah and do that pilgrimage. That one also stopped, right? But we try to educate them whenever possible you can do it. There are some other acts that equal to this act, the act of pilgrimage. So people trying to now learn and manage their life and cope up. So with that, thank you very much. I don't want to take a long time, right? It's understood. And may God bless all of us. Let us live with peace and harmony.
Thank you.
Then, as usual, walillahi taufiq wal hidayah, and peace be upon all of you.
Okay. Thank you very much, Dr. Said. I know you kept the time, so I'm very grateful. So we now invite Jason and Jin to lead the response, to maybe reflect on what was said by Dr. Uy and Dr. Said, or ask a question or share a reflection. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yes, Jin.
That was good. Yeah. Thank you, Dr. Uy and Dr. Said. I have a question. Yeah, the question is that now that with this COVID thing going on, there's not less activities in the house of worships itself. Or how do you go about maintaining your holy places? I mean, how do you kind of bring down the overhead cost itself?
As many you can read that in Islamic rituals, the purpose of going to masjid, the mosque, is that you need to, have brotherhood bonding with others, by going every day 5 times, and by going on Friday the whole village, right? This is the main purpose, is that to develop the brotherhood and the bonding, right? So it is not that means that if you cannot go to masjid or the mosque, you cannot do your ritual. You can do your ritual at your home, in your place, right? Even you can do the ritual in your bedroom when you have a space to do the 5 daily salah. But importantly, why we have to gather is main purpose is, like I tell you, the bonding. So it was not a big issue, even though people were feeling, whole their life they were always going to mosque, and this is the time they cannot go. But they have fulfilled, they can do it, their ritual in their houses or in their place. So that is the way Islam is simplify the rituals. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr.
Is
Sai.
it clear, Harjinda? Is it clear? Do you have any question for the answer?
Harjinder, would you like a different answer for your question?
Okay, I will give you another question. What about the maintenance of the mosque? I mean, how do you see? Because when like our Sangat, I mean, they come, they give donations, they come, and then they come and pray. So now, if there's no congregation, that means in a way that's no income too for the priest, and to maintain the Gurdwara itself or the holy places. How do you go about getting that sector of the donations itself? How do you go about it?
It was breaking, but is it the question is that about how do you maintain the place?
Maintain, yes.
Yes, how do you maintain the place?
No, that's very good. In Malaysia, especially in Malaysia and some part of the Muslim world, it is not a difficult issue, because the people, those who work, like the imams, the leader, the person, most of them is working, they sometimes stay beside the masjid, right? And in the compound of the masjid. So they are allowed to be there and then take care of the masjid, right? And in the case of some other country, which I have heard from friends, where the people are not living, I mean the masjid workers are not living in the masjid, they are allowed in a way to go and come back, at least 1 or 2, in certain times. So this is the way they have maintained. Even in Malaysia, you can see some of the masjid, like me myself, I could manage to go a few masjid during the MCO time, and we participated some of the rituals where is with the social distancing. For example, when we want to pray in Islam, you have to pray your shoulder and your feet must be together. But in this pandemic time, we accepted the social distancing of 1 meter, and we started to pray the congregational prayer with 1 meter. So to conclude it, Islam has it's a very way of the very easy way that according to the situation, it may have a balance, rules that we can adopt easily. Thank you.
Okay.
Yeah,
All
maybe
right.
I can answer from the Buddhist point of view.
Yes.
We do have a lot of volunteers in our societies and in temples, and these devotees will come and they will help to maintain, clean the place. Of course, when it comes to finance, we rely a lot on public donations. And BMSM has also had, for example, we have donation via Touch and Go. So they can actually use the Touch and Go to donate for whatever activities that we have. And like, for example, in Perak, our Buddhist societies, we have people who live nearby, so they will come and clean regularly. So in a way, because we have less activities, in fact, our expenses are reduced and not increased, actually. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Uy. Jason, would you like to add anything there?
Yeah, thanks. Certainly, there's a lot of similarities between the Buddhist community and the Muslim community. As I can see, both communities are very community-centric. Yeah, the need to come together and congregate to hear, to listen to the word of the scriptures and the teachings, and school children having come together. So I can see, similarities for that need here. But I think for the Buddhists, it sounds a lot easier for you all to cope having to move to the online virtual as compared to the Muslims. Obviously, congregation is a lot better. But I do see a lot of similarity with the Muslim community in the sense that the way we worship, the traditions in which we worship is very needs to be there. Yeah, it needs to be at the place of worship. I mean, for Muslims, it's every Friday. For Christians, it's every Sunday. So I can identify, the struggle at that point in time, having to adjust. I mean, for us, the same thing. We when we listen to the mass on telly, it doesn't feel the same as being there. So I can identify with that struggle. For Mr. Uy, I think what impresses me is this meta pantry initiative that you got, putting food in shops and making people feel comfortable to take them if they need it, and you don't ask any questions. And I think that's it's a very good initiative, because we come across sometimes when people are in need, they may not want to ask for help, seemingly because they don't want to be judged, and they don't want to be embarrassed. So they don't usually ask until the problem becomes a big problem. So by putting it, on the shops and no questions asked, take whatever you need, I think it's a lot easier to help, I think. So I do comment on that. It's a very good initiative there. Meditation part, that's another interesting part. I think I'm not sure how would you do it. What's the experience like for meditation via virtual? That's something to experience. Yeah. But thank you for the sharing, both of you.
Right, thank you. Maybe I can explain a bit about the meditation. You see, when for Buddhism, meditation is a very important thing, and we have a few kinds of meditation. So during the COVID, our focus was actually on metta, which is loving kindness. Of course, we can't congregate to temples or associations to do that. So what BMSM has done is to get groups of people through our WeChat, WhatsApp, and all this, and then we form groups of meditation participants. So what we do is, during a particular time, we will sit down and meditate together, where we believe the energy, the positive energy that we radiate is more, you can say, is added because so many of us, a few hundred of us, meditate at the same time. Although there are some who, because of time constraints and things like that, they meditate on other times. So we spend about 20 minutes to half an hour to meditate at regular times, as fixed by the members. So it's done all over Malaysia. We organize it in such a way that we tell them, all right, this time please sit down if you're free and you are able.
I see.
Please meditate. So it's
I see.
on your own. It's
on your own. I see.
In the house. Yes.
Right.
Yes.
Very good.
Yeah. So it's a synchronized meditation.
Yes, correct.
Remote synchronized prayer.
Yeah, we have to improvise. Otherwise, it would be, you say, it's better to be doing things face to face. Like you say, even listening to the religious talk with the monk in front of you is so much better than via the internet. Yes, a lot of difference.
Yeah. Okay, thank you.
Yeah. So thank you. So obviously for the four communities, the human contact is important. Whether it is an activity, a social gathering, a celebration, a life celebration, a prayer celebration, the human contact is important, and that is what is the challenge, I feel. Yeah. So although virtual has come in and helped a lot, and the networking has helped a lot, I think all 4 communities feel the challenge in having to find a way to maintain human contact. And I really appreciate the input from Dr. Uy, you know, this synchronized, because you know then that there are at least another 100 people doing the same thing as you at that point in time. So in some way, you have made some human contact, yeah, into the ether of the universe, yeah. So
You see, in Islamic perspective, especially on COVID matter, but let me give you a very fast brief. It is considered is a test from God, you know, and this test is not only just to you know, wipe out anything that is in negativity or which is the evil in the society, but also it is to increase the positive positive part of the society. And because if you look at the world like dependent on the technology, right? Dependent on the science and technology especially. Suddenly God God come and given this type of pandemic situation to see that you can even live without something, right? Without your own, you know, without your own thinking that this is the way you have to live. There are another way you have to live. You can live, and you can live with this. You can live without this, because God's the one who created. So that is one part, is a test, right? And then the other way, the one more thing I would like to mention in Islamic concept, all the rituals, whatever the act of worship that has been prescribed in Islamic, you know, concept of life, is all of them are, it's having its own, what do you call that, emergency rules and regulations. Let's say if you are doing your Jum'ah Salah, Jum'ah prayer, right? That's you have to go and do it. But if you cannot do it, what is the next? So you have alternative. And each and every of the act of worship in Islam, it has its own alternative. Either in the emergency situation, or the time that you can't do it, what you can do. Even in the non-pandemic time, I just give you an example. If you cannot go for a Friday prayer, Friday salah, right, salat, then you can even do it, the normal salah, the noon salah, right, at your home or at your convenience. So the second message that I would like to give to the audience, in Islam, all the act of worship, whatever act of worship, it has its own alternative to do it. With that, thank you very much to the organizer to give us this opportunity. Right. May God bless all of us.
thank you, presenters. With technology being used now to enable connectivity among members of a faith community, how do you help those who are not so tech savvy to enable them to participate in community prayers and events? It's from Marianne Chua. It's a very good question, because it's a question that I think is current for many of us now, because we have friends and colleagues who are struggling with which Zoom button to press. I know. I have those friends and colleagues. So what are we doing to help our people who are not tech savvy? What do we do? Anyone has tried any kind of outreach in that area?
Yes,
yeah,
we have. Sorry, go ahead. Go ahead.
Go ahead, Jason. No, Jason, you go first. You started.
Okay. Yeah, that was a common issue at the beginning of MCO. So I live in the residence where there are a number of Catholic families on the same street as mine. And because we formed the BEC, we have a chat group. So some of the elderly couples, you know, who doesn't have the children living with them, they will have a situation where, yeah, how do I log on to the Archdiocese website to watch the live stream of the Mass, for example. What do I have to press and things like that. So because it's in the neighborhood, it's easy for me to say, oh, okay, don't worry, I'll come over, I'll switch on the TV for you, and I'll help you set up. And then after a couple of clicks, you know, they learn. We have a situation like this, or if all else fail, then, you know, find a time to come over and sit with us. But, you know, this is during the RMCO, but MCO itself is, you know, it was a bit of a scary part. So we didn't have that. But yeah, so this is how we accommodate neighbors. Yeah.
Okay. Dr. Uy?
Yeah, actually, we also face the same kind of problem. So like, for example, if you are using Zoom, we also have a technical team. So if there are issues, we actually post them up. We even give them step-by-step guidance, guide. How do you go about doing this? How do you change your name in Zoom? If you have faced this problem, what can you do? So we have actually, even during our Zoom Dharma talk and all this, a team of people who will look into issues. But before that, we will send out, even in WhatsApp, what are the things that you should look into before you join. So instructions were given beforehand. These are the things that we actually did. And during the whatever activity, there will be people who will be on the lookout for problems and try to help to solve them.
Okay, thank you. I'm just thinking that this is the time when the younger people in the family can really be teachers to their elders, you know, to show them how to use the technology. And I think one of the biggest things that we can do to help groups like this is to be compassionate about sharing, you know, because usually they're very embarrassed to ask you how to do something. But we can all remember the days when we first learned how to drive, or first learn how to type or use some mechanical machine. Actually, using Zoom and any other software is a dexterity, it's a skill. It can be learned, you know, nothing to be embarrassed about. It's just that you have to practice with patience for yourself, because, you know, the thing moves a bit quickly, and maybe we are a little bit intimidated by technology. So it is something to consider, and maybe something that the leaders might want to think for future work. Yeah.
Yeah.
So we learn from this experience, and what will we do moving forward? That's the second segment. Yeah. So so what we didn't say in the first segment will all be said in the second segment, of course. Right. So So that brings us very well into the last segment, where we want to ask the speakers what learning did they gather as a community, after this experience. What insights have emerged, and do they what do they foresee? So let me share again the slides for that. Yeah. Okay. So can you see the slide? So these are some facts about the MCO. I've tried to put the definitions here because, it started with MCO, then it went into EMCO, and now it's CMCO, and then there was an RMCO. So I thought maybe it's good for us to just look at what it is. MCO is the first one that was started from the 18th to the 31st of March. And then you have Movement Control Order 2 that brought us to the end of April. And then after that was the EMCO. EMCO means, which is what we are in now, I think. They can announce it anytime, and it is 2 weeks from the date of declaration. So it gives you some prep, I think. And then the RMCO, which is what? The relaxed one, the recovery MCO, where you're just supposed to stay at home. Yeah. Duduk di rumah, right? Yeah. So these are some facts about movement control. Now, of course, they affect us, right? So we invite our panelists now to share what insights and learning from this experience of long extended restrictions on worship gatherings, faith celebrations, ritual, faith education for the youth and communities. It has impacted all our life, and we'd like to hear what your thoughts are on this. And we started earlier with alphabetical order from A to B. Now we do alphabetical order reverse. So we will start with Dr. Syed Hussein, who will share his insights, and also perhaps what does he think about the possibility of moving forward, because we have about half hour, so we will take the two questions together. So Dr. Syed, what are some insights you have gained from this experience, and how do you see your community moving forward? Over to you.
Patrick, can you give this to Dr. Oy? I'll get back to the second because I need to do my...
Oh, okay. Yeah, okay. I know it's your salat time. So Dr. Uy, would you like to take the lead?
Yeah, thank you, Patricia. Thank you, everyone, and welcome back again. Yeah, I'd like to, just now, I only talk about what we have done, but now I would like to talk about, from the religious point of view, what this pandemic has taught us. The Buddha has mentioned, and I also have mentioned earlier, that with birth comes old age, sickness, and death. Therefore, when this pandemic happened to most Buddhists, we take it as well, this is part and parcel of life. So it was not really a shock to us in a way. The other important thing that we have to understand that the Buddha also talked about dukkha, which although many people literally translate it as life suffering, actually it's not in that way. It's not fully correct. It actually says that in life there is suffering. Doesn't mean that there is no joy, but there is suffering. But the very important aspect of Buddhist teaching is that there is what is known as anicca, or impermanence, that not everything will change. So good will turn to bad, bad will turn to good, and therefore we are very positive that this period of MCO and whatever difficulties we are facing, it will definitely come to an end sooner or later. So we are actually quite okay in the sense that we understand now what the Buddha has taught us, that life is uncertain, that sickness is part and parcel of life. So of course, MCO also has brought some positive things to our practice. For example, it allows us to reflect on our priorities in life. very often we are very much influenced by greed, desire, hatred, fear, aversion, delusion. And because of MCO, we stay back, we spend more time to reflect on where are we heading now. And meditation, of course, helps a lot. And many of the members actually say, wow, now I have more time to meditate, something that we have neglected many times. So in a way, it has helped us to be more spiritually aware, and we are more able to practice what we sometimes tend to forget in our daily struggles. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you. Who would like to pick up from there? Jean or Jason?
Jean, you want to go ahead?
She's not ready.
Okay, it's not ready. Okay, then
right.
I'll go first. I think we have to recognize the fact that the pandemic is going to be here for a little longer. So we have to accept the fact that this new normal is going to be normal very soon. And the quicker we adjust to it, the better it is. And continue to discover new ways to reach out to people and stay in touch. I think we are made to communicate with people all the time, and it's important to stay communicated, especially if you know of families who are living alone or the elderly. I think we need that. Yeah. And obviously staying sensitive to people who maybe not have an income anymore, and knowing that, and I think knowing how to engage people who are in need of help, not just wait for them to call, and find new ways, basically, to reach out. I think what Pope Francis advocated in one of his speeches back in June, which is in that slide, is, yeah, we need to, accept the fact that the world has changed, and we need each other more than ever. Yeah. And whether we have a different religious background or different race, we need each other for the betterment of humanity, and that's what we need to do. Yeah, thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Jason. Jim?
Yeah, this is in our Sikh religion itself, right? Now you see, the thing is that this crisis which is going on right now actually is testing many of us, our limits itself as human beings and as a society itself. But the Sikhs are being constantly reminded that we are supposed to keep ourselves inspired to stay in Chardikala. Chardikala means that, ascendant spirits, up there. We have to live from a place of fullness and compassion and encourage, where we are pushed to our limits. We are still supposed to maintain that. So I would say that a lot of Sikhs are this way, especially the true Sikh. I would say the Sikhs, most of them are this way. And even if there's any pandemic or any crisis, as I mentioned earlier, they will jump and they will go and help, because this is what our Guru taught us. And I would like to just quote something during a pandemic, like Guru Harkishan, one of our Guru itself, he refers back to history itself. He says that Guru Harkishan actually walked and cared for the people of Delhi during the smallpox epidemic. And we as Sikhs of the Guru, we have to yearn or to emulate how our Guru just did. So some of our Sikhs youth, they actually, men itself, they actually emulate all this. So when it comes to, like I said, so, it's like Guru, we feel God resides within you, and God is actually everywhere. So God is not, okay, it's also in the Gurdwara, because the Sangat, you are encouraged to come Gurdwara because to be in the Sangat, to feel the closeness itself. But right now, like Gurdwara Sahib Subang, we have actually already embarked on online sessions, and where daily programs are being communicated by our expert itself, Panji Darshan, and she goes, and each day when we call it the Hukamnama is being read, the prayer is being, the prayers are ongoing still in the Gurdwara Sahib Subang. They are ongoing daily because our priest stays in-house. They're in-house. The cook is in-house itself. So they don't go out. They're given rules not to go out and mix. So they are within, so they are actually confined there, and they carry out the prayers. All prayers which we have various kind of banis itself, which of course I can discuss it on a different platform. I'm not an expert really on that, but the prayers are ongoing. They're not stopping. So if like during the CMCO, like we had programs, but of course we had social distancing itself, where we lay out where you could, you had to stay a distance apart. Even food, like we had arranged our table itself, and we had to actually put the sewadas who were serving the meals behind the tables away from us. And we are all encouraged, and sometimes we use paper plates too at the same time, and sometimes we're encouraged to wash our own dishes itself. So this is actually ongoing where the Sikhs are concerned. To me, actually, I mean, I feel that this COVID-19 has got its blessings itself. Families, if you observe, families started bonding. IT became very important to all of us. Those who don't know also start picking up IT. I think people they went and go and purchase a lot of computers and printers and start doing the work at home itself. If you observe, people have convert their business to online business, especially food. And I think even like our Wasaki celebration was in-house, was among the family members. What we did is that we all had our small gathering, and we put online, and then everybody had their sharing itself. Oh, this is how I celebrated my Wasaki, and this is how I celebrated the festival itself. And I would say this is a positive end, the bonding, lots of bonding. I mean, I would say that something that happened in my family is that my daughter had a baby during the COVID-19 itself. I mean, she has not had a baby for the past 4 years. And with God's blessing, I mean, I have a first grandson. So I'm actually pretty excited. So, so that's actually God's message to a lot of people. Hey, people, sit down and pray. Those who are not praying, go back and pray. I mean, that's a message to God itself. Sometimes I feel the earth is actually repairing itself in some way or the other, less pollution, whatever it is. And it's a strong message from God. Get together, be kind, be compassionate, collaborate with each other. And then it's a strong message for all of us. So I would say that God is actually, but the negative part is especially, I feel sad for those where domestic violence is concerned in the families itself. I mean, where do they run to? That's the sad part of it. So, and the family members, I mean, I salute to those family members who actually are doctors, and doctors are always in the front line, and nurses are there, and they sacrifice the time down there. So like we see, like it's actually I would conclude, summarize to say that this is a strong God's message itself to all of us. Hey, people, I mean, start praying. I mean, pray for our sins itself, and do good. So
okay.
I think that's about for me. Thank you.
Thank you, Jin. And Dr. Syed has returned. So Dr. Syed, would you like to answer? What have you picked up for insights, and how do you see your community moving forward?
Right. Thank you very much, Patricia. God bless all of you. May peace and blessing be upon the final messenger. Thank you very much for giving me another opportunity to speak for 3 minutes. Okay, I would like to mention the following 3 things. The new world order, I think, before pandemic, has changed the lifestyle of human being today. All right. So I would like to point out the three things: family, society, and as well as religious activities. When I say family, means that, if you look at our previous, our long, our life earlier when we were child, right? We are together with the parents, we are together with relatives, we are together with neighbor. We know one another. We support one another. But when the new world order comes, it changed the life. The children does not see the parents. The parent does not see their children. And if we have elderly parents, the one who working outside, they will come 10, 11 o'clock. While they are coming coming to their house, the what we call that, the people in the house, they went to bed. When they are going time, everyone is sleeping. So this was, you cannot see one another. The life was totally different. But when the pandemic came, what the pandemic did, ask us to stay at home and live together, reunite. And as well as when you talk about a society, you look up about what you have mentioned earlier, the celebration. Either it can be a religious celebration or social celebration. Let's look at the wedding. What we do, we even invite people from South Africa. For one wedding, they will spend 25,000 US dollar and come to our house. Today, the pandemic has changed. Don't go to anywhere else, right? If you want to have wedding, you do it on virtual wedding and invite only minimum of 20 to 30 people. So these situations, right, make us really to live as what we call that minimum of the family together. And then as well as the when you look at the third part, based on the Islamic ritual concept, even people when talk about the prayers and some other rituals, it becomes it's like usual activity, right? They have to go masjid, they will come back from masjid. Every year they go to Makkah and come back, or they do some ritual activity like dua salamat things, and that's become like is compulsory act for them. But they don't look at is it the what are the benefits that you're going to get? What are the how is there any other way when you don't want to do it this way of doing this act of worship? So this pandemic that have helped us, right? That we have to have it's like say alternative, right? And it's help us that how we have to when we are doing our for example of the congregational prayer, the Jama'ah prayer, those who say. Now what we do in the masjid or at home, right? Even if allowed to go to masjid, we pray 1 meter, right? And we are trying to cope up with the situation, and people are trying to adapt for this situation. And as well as we are doing our congregational salah, our salah together, our prayer together, our some ritual together at home. So now it's regaining the what do you call that? The great social norms and the great what do you call that? Family bond and the social bond. And as well as if you are living in a society in an area with the help of Almighty, we are now trying to see them and talk to them, because earlier we have no time. We are coming them, they are not outside. Now we are at home. When we're coming out, we can see our neighbor. We can talk to our neighbor. So in that manner, what I can say that our activities, our daily life, our religious life, all right, that gain in a different form, and all of us trying to be trying to adapt that situation. And I hope that this pandemic will help us a lot, and we will be together. And then we are tasting the earlier lifestyle of our parents and our forefathers. With that, I think I've taken 3 minutes. God bless all of you, right? And that peace and blessing be upon the final messenger. The messenger came to give us a good way of life. Thank you very much, and assalamu alaikum. Very good afternoon to you.
Thank you, Dr. Said. Now, we have about 10 minutes more, so there are two things we want to do. There is something called a Mentimeter. I'm not sure whether you all are familiar with it, but one of my colleagues is working on it, and we would like you to respond on how you felt for this experience, these 2 hours. What are your 3 words to describe this experience? And you need to go to your phone or your laptop to type www.menti.com and go to this website, and we will give you a code number, and then you will get a window where you can type your 3 words. It's your feedback on the session. Now, while that is being done, we have some time. So I'm going to suggest any one of you who are listening, if you have a comment or a question, you can unmute yourself and ask the speakers directly, or you can write in the chat.
Pat, I think there was one question from Nazifa.
Yes.
We would like to know how different religions answer the question of why God sent COVID-19.
Okay. I think Dr. Said has explained from the Muslim side. I think Jean has also kind of touched on it in her response to the answer of suffering. Yeah. And maybe Dr. Oh, you want to say a little bit more about this Anika, which I see written here in the chat. And then when you do that, then we'll pass it to Jason to give the view from the Christian community.
Yeah. Anicca is actually Pali
How do you
term.
say it? Anicca, is it?
Anicca is actually a Pali term which means impermanence, meaning to say nothing in the world is actually permanent. Good health, sickness, good, bad, whatever happens, it will change with time. So it's relative. But I would like to answer the question of why God sent from the Buddhist perspective. Because from the Buddhist perspective, we don't have a creator God. We have devas, yes, there is a realm of existence, but we do not have a creator God that determines what happens to all of us. However, in the Buddhist text, we also have what is known as laws called the niyamas, which is, I just briefly go through them, is the Utu niyama, Vijja niyama, Kama niyama, Dhamma niyama, and Chitta niyama. What they means actually is that the whole system in the universe is governed by natural laws that determine our weathers and things like that. We have the Vijja niyama, which refers to the biological law. Karma niyama refers to the moral law. Dhamma niyama is what makes this existence happen and things like that. And Chitta niyama refers to the mental laws. So in terms of whatever happened, probably it will come under one of these laws. Of course, to be able to understand, we have to be very highly developed and highly knowledgeable, which I'm afraid to say I am not qualified to describe them in full. But these are the laws that govern what happens to the universe. So from the Buddhist point of view, we don't have a God that will test us through all these type of crises, but it is part and parcel of nature, that's all. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Uy. Jason, do you have anything to add there?
Yeah, perhaps I do. That's a good question. That's a question that's been asked for many centuries. Yeah. why is this bad thing happen to good people? Yeah. Basically, that's the question. Well, first of all, I do not think that God is the one who created COVID-19 so that we all suffer. That is certainly not what he did. That's not what I believe he did. But he does permit bad things to happen. The real answer is we don't know. I don't know. Our religion doesn't teach us why it happens because we don't get an answer directly from God. But over the centuries, we have a lot of church fathers through their wisdom has answered that question as well. And that is so that we know what good is. Yeah. And that's why we are called, as Catholics, we are called to live a life of holiness, to align our lives to the will of God, yeah, to do what is good during your present day on earth before we die, before we go on to the next life. So that is our calling. Being missionary, have a prayerful life, almsgiving. One of the commandments of Christ is not only do you love God with all your mind and your heart and your soul and your strength, but also to love one another as much as He has loved us. Yeah, and rooted and in that commandment, we lead a life that follows Christ, yeah, which is our calling of being saints. Yeah, in the church tradition, recently we celebrated All Saints Day, which is a reminder to us that we have a number of canonized saints. Yeah, they led a life that has found true happiness because of God. And they are the models for us to follow. Of course, people like me will never be canonized. But nevertheless, all of us are still asked to lead a life of a saint. Yeah, small s, not the big S, to help. Yeah, to recognize where people are help are needed. We go and be missionary, be salt and light to the world, and that's what we should look forward to. Not the bad stuff to that will isolate us or cause us anxiety until we give up. Yeah, for us to believe in God means to have hope. Yeah, to have hope that He will always provide, and He has. Yeah, I mean, just like Jin said, COVID-19 is all not doom and gloom. Yeah, it does bring us to recognize the other side of humanity. You know, there are so many positive things that come out of it as well. The treasure of life, the treasure of our neighbor, and so forth and so forth. And that's what our faith teaches us. Yeah, thank you. Hope that answers the question.
Yeah, it's a question that can take a lifetime to answer.
Yeah.
So, so I don't think we can answer it in the remaining 10 minutes. But really, it is a call, I think, for all of us to look within and to read all our whatever scriptures we hold as dear, whether it be Sikh or Buddhist or Muslim or the Quran or the Bible or whatever book of scriptures that teaches us about the relationship to our Creator and to the created, yeah, to the divine and to the human. What is our relationship and how do we maintain that and how do we keep it in balance? I think one of the things that is coming through is that in whatever tradition, there is an acknowledgement that there is suffering and that the suffering is an opportunity for the good to emerge. Yeah, and the call, I think, for us as individuals is to see where do you stand if there is suffering and good must emerge. Where do you stand? Where do I stand in that situation? And that is something that we need to think about. Yeah. Now,
on behalf of the Church of St. Thomas More, I would like to thank all of you for being here with us this afternoon. It's been a great pleasure to have you as panelists and also to Pat for hosting this whole afternoon for us. You know, it's such a blessing to have you with us, and to tell you that we really were so caught unawares with this COVID thing that we had beautiful plans to visit each other's temples and mosques and things like that, and also to have buka puasa, activities. But all these had to be on hold, or we had to stop everything because of the MCOs and things that were in place. But Eddie and I, together with Pat, felt that we could still do something and embrace the new technology of having our activities on Zoom. So that is where we plan to have this. And we've been having a few meetings to organize everything. But it was so convenient to, to meet like this. We didn't have to go to each other's places of worship or houses or over meals to discuss. We could just do everything on Zoom. And a big thank you again to every one of you who agreed to participate. And also our big thank you to our panelists. Thank you very much.
I'm following all through the 2 hours. I think all of you did a good job. Thanks to the organizers and all those who were keen linked to our link of this COVID-19. So I feel, I said, enlightened, and I feel that we all have the same problem, same little suffering that we have, and we all notice that we all need each other, and we only have one Almighty God to turn to, the same God. And of course, we live the world where we share all our resources, that all the religion to help one another. It's time of CMCO and now EMCO. It will go on for some time. So thank again Patricia also for coordinating this whole session. All those involved, and our speakers, everyone. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Hope to
Thank
meet
you, Father.
again.
Thank you, Father. Okay.
Okay, thanks. Same thing. Thanks. I thank the speakers for sharing. Also, thank all the tech teams and the people that help in organizing this. Before Angela, I can see that this is actually some kind of divine appointment for all of us to bring all of us together and do this, which is I also thank God for this to happen. And I learned a lot, especially I look at the different religion, how you all come together and tackle this situation, and as well as also how your faith looking at this. And then also, especially at this point, I personally didn't realize that the Muslims, what are the problems they were facing and the things that they're used to, because and then I realized that, oh yeah, it's a very different way. I mean, the mosque and things is, even though religious institution, worship places are important to all people, but when Dr. Hussein talked about community being brotherhood, coming together, and make us realize that one of the things that made me realize that one of the things we are missing, even though we talk a lot of other things that we are missing, is the human touch. Not necessarily have to be physically touched, but the human interaction. Like I have been doing online classes, I hardly see my student face. I wouldn't be able to recognize them when I see them in person. But however, there are also other good things that come along with this. So I am grateful for this time of sharing. Thank you very much for coming and joining us and sharing. And
Can you see it?
Yeah, we can see. Let's make it very big and take a screenshot. Okay. Thankful. Okay. Informed, enlightening, informative. Now, for those of you who are not familiar, when the word is bigger, it means more people have used it. Yeah. So a lot of people are encouraged, enlightened, informative, enlightening, thankful, informed, hopeful, and there are others that look for guidance, compassionate.
I've joined your session. It was very informative, very enlightening. Great. Keep up the good work. Thank you.
Thank you. This dialogue series, we hope to run once every 2 months or so, different topics. So this is actually our second dialogue. Is it second? Yeah, second. We have a third one on the 21st of November. And 21st of November is a different group. We are looking at menghayati kesopanan dan kesusilaan dalam hidup keseharian di Malaysia. Very welcome to join us again, and also you can suggest topics, and if anyone wants to be in the panel or suggest a topic, suggest to us. I think Malaysians need to start talking to each other. Though we may not be meeting up too much, if we can meet on Zoom, we can get to know our different Malaysian communities a little bit better. And that may be a way forward for us. Yeah. So thank you very much. Yeah, I can share a song so that you all can leave on a nice song. Let's see whether my song is here. You hear?